Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave a 5-star review. My name is Ramon Chavez, and joining me today, as always, my partner, Owen Evans. How you doing, sir?
God, it's been a day today, hasn't it? Like, I feel like we've had a real range of stuff today.
As Thomas is saying, it's a spicy one today. Man. Like, I like these days because you know there's stuff to talk about, but then I also don't like these days because the stuff that we're going to talk about we probably don't want to talk about. So anyway, great show for everybody today. Thank you for joining us, Reese, Elizabeth, Thomas, Bonnie, Bobby, Pat. Thank you so much for joining us.
Before we get started, can we just acknowledge that we've got our first Dulle out in the chat there? So yeah, we have been on air for under 2 minutes, and someone is already calling for the Phoenix Rising general manager's head. So,
and we'll talk about why some people are feeling that way. But we got a great show for you today. Of course, we're going to touch on that Las Vegas loss that happened last Friday. I really don't want to, but we're going to have to. Of course, Owen, you were able to speak today to the general manager, Bobby Dulle, as well as Rick Schantz. And we actually got some updates regarding the stadium. And I think that kind of shocked everybody a little bit. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And of course, we're going to talk about the USL in our section of Around the USL. Check out what's going on around the league. And of course, some big news from a certain Welsh player coming over to in the US and more specifically MLS. So we'll definitely touch on that a little bit later on. But all right, Owen, you were over there in Las Vegas on Friday. Of course, we all know your favorite city in the entire world. Rising fell to Las Vegas for the second time this season away from home by the score of 3-2. Let's just jump into it. What was the loss? What was the reason for the loss this time?
The fact that they played the first half as though they didn't want to play the first half. Let's be honest.
Like the water balloon halftime show that those.
No, the second half they actually came out and fought, but the first half was just bad. It was bad. There was seemingly no real plan to it. Rick kind of got into he tried up a different tactic again, and even admitted today that he's been playing around with tactics way too much. It's something that he's got to kind of stick to the system that works and not keep chopping and changing things every week. It just felt as though the whole setup at moments it worked, but not for any long stretch of time, and they were just too negative. They sat back way too much. They invited way too much pressure, and then when you couple that with the kind of little mistakes that we've seen throughout the season, you end up conceding goals, and the pace wasn't necessarily there defensively. And Vegas caught them on that at a couple of moments. It's just a very, very tough one.
Do you feel like that first half in Las Vegas was the worst half we've seen this entire year?
It's hard to tell.
It's among the top 5 at least, right?
Wasn't it 3-0 at halftime with a red card as well in that Galaxy 2 game? It was Tampa Bay Rowdies when they lost 5-1.
I feel like that one they were at least trying. I was able to actually be there for that one, and I think they were trying, but they were just, they were just getting beat. But that first half, it just felt like you were saying, they were disinterested, timid at times. Even the ESPN plus commentators they were like, hey, what's going on with this team? Like on that I think on that first goal with Casada, like it just seemed like Calistri was just waiting for him to take that shot, and he was able to get on the board. So it was just rough to watch that first half, because I'm sitting here like, okay, they're going to turn it around. They're going to come out upset. It's a new system. They got to get it going. And no, it was like even worse than the prior week. So it's like you kind of just throw your hands up and you're like, what the heck is going on out there?
I mean, it it gave the impression, and despite everything that everyone has said today, and maybe despite the second half, which kind of suggested that there was some level of fight in there.
Mhm.
That first half, there was no fight in it. It looked, at least to everybody outside, as though the boys had given up on the game, on Rick, on the team. It was, you'd imagine, and the way that most people were going was they're giving up on Rick, is what people were reading into it. But
Mhm.
it just was such a bad performance. I was thinking the exact same as you in terms of, is this the worst half I've seen out of Rising? Then I remembered all those other games this season. I'm like, oh, I really
Well,
don't
I
know
had locking
anymore.
up, but you brought
I
him in, so yeah.
I really don't know anymore.
Mhm.
Compare it to if this was a previous season and we saw that half of football, yes, not a shadow of doubt, it would be
Yeah,
the worst half of football we'd seen out of Phoenix Rising. But the way that they're just not showing up this year, I mean, maybe
yeah.
not.
Just a pattern at this point. Renee with the great comment here. They are playing scared. No one wants to make the mistake that will lead to them losing. They look like a team defeated before they even play. And I think so as well. I think the I feel like with the system constantly changing, the players are confused on their role. They don't want to make any mistakes because, if you take Rick's words and apply them to a player and say, well, if I mess up, if I'm not playing well, then I'm not going to see the field next week, then that just puts even more pressure on you to perform. And I think some players crack under that pressure, and it's you don't want to hear that as a player. I feel like if your coach is telling me, well, if you mess up out there, then you're done. It's too
Yeah.
much pressure. I feel for the players, and I don't like that mentality, playing the way that they are.
No, I know, and we've seen it. It comes up every so often. Rick will mention the players look as though they're playing with fear, and that's not the Phoenix Rising way. Of course, we could also get into it and say that Rick appears to have been coaching with fear in terms of he is chucking everything at it, different chop changes every week, different formation, different players, just trying to see what sticks really. Because
Yeah,
I don't think he quite knows what is sticking and what isn't at the moment.
yeah.
It's something that we can't explain. I'm not fully sure that Rick can explain why this team looks quite like it does at the moment. But it's just, it's a tough one. And no one seems to have answers,
Hmm.
partly because no one can quite work out fully what the problem is.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, and I listened to a couple of the podcasts that that cover Rising and USL as a whole, and I read the articles, especially John Morrissey, and even himself. He's like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, it should work with the amount of talent that's going on here. It should work at least, not losing as badly or having this many losses in a row. So yeah, I think everyone's just kind of throwing up their hands at this point. Let's talk about the second half real quick before we continue. There were some changes. Darnell King came in. Joe Farrell at one point became a striker. Tell me about that second half and what the heck happened. And they were able to get on the board at least. I know you're, yeah. I
Joe
I
Farrell as a
completely
striker is the line where I'm just like, what is going on?
exactly.
Is
So what
that the
happened?
level
They
of
were in the score.
desperation?
Yeah.
I I mean, I kind of understand it, but at the same
Mhm.
time, but then it gets into the interesting part then of, well, Claudio Repetto was left at home, right? You wanted a big guy up top. Claudio
Mhm.
Repetto got left at home. So
Yeah.
that instead the team could start Marcus Epps and Richmond Antwi up top.
I don't think Antwi did as bad as people feel like he did. He was controlling the ball on I think it was the Santi goal where he was able to play it off to Epps, and Epps was able to give that pass towards the middle. But other than that, and the header, yes, I can understand why people are upset. But here's a guy that's not really playing this year either. So it's like you chuck him out there, do something for me, and then you get upset when he doesn't. It's not fair. It's not fair to put someone in that situation.
No, I can understand that. At the end of the day, I I don't know. I'm just at the point where I'm really wondering. There's no consistency in the like. Can we also shout out? We got Fire Shantz commenting
Is
in
someone making
here.
an account for that? Oh my
There is an
god.
account called Fire Shantz that is
Oh
currently
jeez.
commenting on this live stream. I just feel like there's no consistency week to week. There's no real consistency again tactics wise, let alone team selection.
Mhm.
And so, we can talk about Antwi hasn't really had the opportunity to get into form, but no one's really had the opportunity to build the chemistry
Mhm.
because it keeps changing all the time. And some of that is forced. They have had injuries this season. They have had suspensions because the discipline has been, quite frankly, atrocious. But again, it's just chopping and changing every week. Chop and change and chop and change and chop and change. And nothing is quite sticking. Nothing is really working. Even when they get results, they're not necessarily looking the most convincing. And so, it just becomes, you look at Hartford as a perfect example. The last time that Rising won, their only win in, I believe, 7 league games. And they didn't look convincing. It looked more like just delaying the inevitable drop back down to losing again rather than an actual win. There was a 10-minute spell where they scored goals. Everything else was pretty poor.
Yeah, no, definitely. So just to wrap up about the game, with that loss, Rising fall down to 7-9, 1-4-0 in their last 5 games, and they're now 11th in the Western Conference with 21 points. Next week, this weekend, well, they're going to be facing the team right below them, which is Orange County. So, even with the loss, Orange County will probably not. They won't catch Rising in the standings. But
hang on, hold on, because Orange County are playing tomorrow
there you
against
go.
San Diego Loyal, and if I'm not mistaken, they're currently 4 points behind Rising.
There you
so
go.
a draw tomorrow would mean that they can be equal with Rising on points, and the first tiebreak is head to head. So Rising could be, if Orange County draw or win tomorrow, Rising with a loss on Saturday will be sitting in 12th out of 13 at the halfway stage. At the halfway stage in the season.
Yeah, I think at that point I would be putting my money on Rising not making the playoffs if they fall down like that low.
Well,
so
538 are already saying that the odds are well below 50% now.
Jeez. All right, and then July, we got July coming up. We're gonna talk about that more on Thursday, but yeah, it's not looking good at this point. All right, Owen, let's talk about what happened today. Obviously, there's a press conference on Tuesdays. You were able to speak to the general manager, Bobby Dulle. First of all, does he actually make appearances at these, press conference pretty often, or was this because of the situation?
Not usually. Well, I'll put it this way. Bobby came along today because pretty much everyone who covers the club in any regular capacity all decided we were going to request him this week, and so they gave into that request and said that he would come out and join us this week. So we did have Bobby. I tell you what, let's kick in with a video now. Or actually, no, should we acknowledge the super chat before we get into the video?
Oh, yep, we got one right here. Bobby, thank you so much. Super chat. Appreciate you boys asking the hard questions on our behalf and having great coverage. Thank you so much, Bobby. Well, it was Owen, because he's the one asking the hard questions there. But let's take a look at the video that you were talking about.
Yeah, so we'll start off by saying I spoke to Bobby, asked him about the current direction the club's going in. Have they been speaking with owners? Has there been any discussion with the ownership about the direction the club's currently going in?
No, we're of course discussion, reflection, seeing what we can do differently. But we know the group that is in that locker room, the group that has had a lot of success over the last 5 years. They know the standard. No one's harder on themselves than us, and we know the expectation and the standard that's been set here. And we got the second half of the season to turn things around, and we believe in everyone in that locker room, and and it starts on Saturday night.
So, no, yes.
I mean, you have to have at least a conversation if it's 5 losses in a row. I'm talking about like if they lose on Saturday against Orange County, 5 losses in a row, potentially the 12th place in the Western Conference. 538 is not even giving you half a chance to make it into the playoffs at that point. At the beginning of the season, you're talking about championship, the best team in the USL. You fall down to that and you're saying, oh, well, it's okay. We're not going to discuss it right now. We still got 18 more games left. I don't think so. Not with this group.
No. Look, you've got to have had the discussion, just because how much longer can you allow this to go on? It's easy for us to sit here, I guess, and say, okay, well, it's been bad so far. Can they turn it around? There's all the talent here, all that, but this can't. you're not dealing in hypotheticals now. You're dealing in the fact that now it's become very, very real. All of this is very, very real. And that is that Rising, if it doesn't wake up soon, is realistically at risk of missing the playoffs. Yeah. And I that's not a situation, I think, whereby you can really sit back and say, oh, it's okay, we just had a bad year. This team finished first in the Western Conference last year. This team is comprised entirely of people that Rick wanted to bring in, and it's got Rick's coaching staff in there as well. His tactics, his training, all of that. And they're going to drop from first in the conference down to possibly missing the playoffs in the space of a couple of months. Really?
Yeah.
This isn't just... You can't just paper over this. You've got to talk about when exactly do you need this to be turned around? Because to me, that time is coming a lot sooner rather than later, that they have to turn it around. Otherwise, they really are probably going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I think more than ever now, July will determine how the course of the season is going to go. Obviously, Louisville, Memphis, Colorado at the end of the month. Those are games that I feel Rising is a pretty clear underdog in, and if they don't get any points at that point, what do you say? Like, we got the last quarter of the season to make it up. No, at that point, it's basically a lost season if you really think about it, because for them to be able to climb out of that hole with everybody in the West playing so well, you got San Diego, you got San Antonio, who's actually the league leader right now, Colorado. Like it's a tough hill to climb, especially the way the defense is just letting in goals, the offense is not clicking. It's just the entire situation just does not work at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to, you forgot in there as well. I believe it's Sacramento at home as well in July, isn't it? Like it is a more tough games. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm really struggling to find reasons to be positive about this team right now.
I always try to look at the positive outlook on this, but
you do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I attempt to, because I feel sometimes we're not fair with, hey, they've had injuries or players haven't been playing up to their potential, and suspensions, COVID situations, so there's a lot going on there. But when you come out and say, well, we're not really thinking about it, we got the other half of the season, that's when I'm kind of like, well, you've lost 4 in a row. You haven't had the best past 2 months. What's going on here? That's when I start to question the direction of this team.
Well, you know what? We'll hop on another video now. We did manage to hear from Rick. I asked him about pretty much what he's doing to keep showing us he's the guy.
And obviously, the negativity off the field has been around now for a few weeks. Beyond just working hard, what is it you're doing that shows that you're still the guy for this job?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I've made a mistake is in all the tactical changes, and sometimes we've talked about trying to make it simple, and I've tried to protect the players. I did everything that I could. I told them I would jump on a grenade. I would do everything I could for them to not put them in trouble. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes you overthink it. You do too many changes tactically, and you take them out of their comfort zone. And these are great kids, and they would have done anything I asked them to do. And that says a lot about who they are and the relationship that I have with the players, and they know how much I care about them. And I can guarantee if you ask them, they'll tell you that I care about them as people first. So with that information, I think that it's kind of making them comfortable being who we are, getting back to our DNA. I showed them the first 25 minutes of the season against Monterey, and everybody was just astounded. And they were watching that game and they thought, wow, and I said, that's who we are. That's what we're capable of. And it's in there. We just got to get it out.
So should we expect a return to the 4-3-3 for this?
I'm not sure. It's not the formation. If you ask any coach in the world, it's the philosophy, and it's the ideas that which you play with. And I'd kind of gotten away from the aggressive and tenacious. If I've got 2 different philosophies, one on attacking, one on defending, and both of them have the word tenacity in them. And I think that we just haven't been that tenacious team. But that started with me. It started with me, I think, second guessing and questioning myself. And as I told you, you get backed into a corner, you better come out swinging.
I just want to kind of point out the fact the chat is really got some opinions right now. Some very, very strong opinions about both Rising's coach and general manager and where it wants them to be. It's interesting because I feel as though whenever we've had these shows, actually, I think that's worth just hopping on. Actually, is how the chat is looking at the moment, because whenever we've done these, there's been a kind of bit of a back and forth, right? There's always been a chunk of people who say no, it's time to go. There's other people who hop in and say, oh no, you can't do that. Look at what he's done over the years. Look at how much he's achieved, and we still believe in him. And today, it feels as though it's increasingly hitting that point whereby people just don't have time for those two anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
Bobby
I mean,
more specifically today, but
yeah. No, I mean, granted, we've I don't know if it was like half in jest or not, but in the preseason, as soon as they lost one of the preseason games, it was Rick out. So I understand the frustration. I understand what's going on. If you go to the infamous Facebook group, and you check out what's going on over there, you still have kind of the two sides of it. But I feel at this point, people aren't, how can I say it? They're not saying, hey, I believe a couple weeks ago, there's someone that put on the Facebook group that, hey guys, like, this is our team, let's stand behind them and let's always cheer on. And that's fine and all, but you also have to kind of be objective. You have to say, well, we really like this team, we really love this team, but where's the direction going? What's going on here? Because this isn't the team that we usually see. So it's not unfair to ask those questions about the team and the management and the coaching staff if they're performing in this way. But I feel like that is kind of, dwindling, as far as the fact that people are more supportive than just blindly supporting at this point, just because of how the team is performing. So I know I went on a rant there, but anyway, it's just, I feel like it's fine for the fans to be objective, and they have due cause to feel that way.
yeah, I mean, the results have been bad. The performances have not been up to scratch. So I completely understand the fact that these guys are, calling for Rick's head. I understand where it's coming from, right? What you have to realize is that the amount of money that some of these people put up in terms of going to games week in, week out, going to a couple of away trips a season, because obviously, these are tough trips. Some of them, they're not cheap to go off and spend a weekend away somewhere, especially if in some cases you're having to hop on a plane to do so. I just get the feeling that people have just had enough, and they want to see their club be better than what we're seeing at the moment. I don't know. But on that note, that perfectly happily segues us into one more clip that we've got sitting in here, which is again, it's Bobby Dulle, and it was asking about kind of the reaction from the fans and what that means in terms of Rick's future.
When you look at the way that it appears that both supporters groups are turning on Rick at the moment, how do you think there's really a path forward for him in that case?
I think it's fantastic, the support that our fans, the way they travel, the way they support us, in good times and bad. And again, like I said, our own players, our own staff, everyone has their own opinions, and I encourage everyone to continue to support the club. We appreciate that, and that's the standard that we've set here as an organization. And so for us, all we can do is continue to look inward at ourselves, and we encourage the fans to believe in the organization and believe in that the information that we have, and that everything is. We have everything we need to be successful right now, and we believe in it. And some positivity within the group. I know they're positive, and they're going to come out on this thing. And again, we're gonna show everyone that again, you can get knocked down, but you can get back up and ride this thing forward. So the feedback keep coming. We see it, we hear it, we appreciate it, and it's not going to change what we're doing as a club. We're going to continue to work hard and try to figure out what it's going to take to get results.
So believe, effectively, but also that they welcome the feedback. So if the chat wants to keep going on, that's Rising General Manager approved.
I know some of the players like checking into the show once in a while, so I'm sure they're seeing what the what the chat's got to say. But it's I mean, here's the thing: put yourself in their shoes a little bit, and obviously they're not going to fire Rick at this point. They're not really taking them into consideration. So what else can they say? They're at the bottom of the Western Conference. There's no other way but to go up and just continue working hard. Like there's not really anything else you could say, and it's not going to please everybody. And that's part of the job, when you sign up to be a GM or especially a head coach.
But you know who was working hard? Jonathan Levin, apparently. I'm just gonna throw it out there, right? It's that thing. Hard work isn't enough. It's never enough in a game like this, in an industry like this. It's just not enough. So again, if this can apply to some people, it's got to apply to all. You've got to actually have somebody backing you up. And right now, nothing is backing them up this season. You know what? Shout out to PHNX Rising Nation in there in the chat for the super chat there.
Appreciate it, PHX Rising Nation. Super chat here. Following Bobby D's lead, buy yourself a beer. You deserve it for holding feet to the fire. I appreciate it, man. You don't know how happy these super chats make me, honestly. So thank you so much, Bobby and PHX Rising Nation. Thank you so much for the super chats. And if you want to get on board as well and maybe buy Owen a beer, feel free to use the super chats themselves. But yeah, man, it's just a tough situation overall. And the thing is, though, is that I feel like it's just kind of repetitive at this point. Like it's been week after week after week. And like I sat down to kind of do my pregame notes, and I'm just like, we got to talk about the loss again. And it's hard to be positive each week, when the product on the field is not up to par. And all you can really hope is that they can turn it around. So.
Yeah, it just you're right. It gets tiring going like every week. It's like maybe next week. Oh, just keep the faith. It'll turn around. And it doesn't.
Yeah,
I've been saying this now quite a bit, haven't I? Where it's like I just get tired of the whole like trust the process kind of nonsense. Whereby it's like, don't tell me it's gonna get better. Start showing me it's going to get better, or give me a reason why it'll get better. But you can't just say that it will. I could say anything that anything's going to get better. Give me an actual reason why. A reason to believe.
And if you're a fan and you got your money, your season tickets or whatever. And last time I'll talk about the infamous Facebook group, but people put out there, hey, I don't have a ride. I want to go to this game. Can someone take me? Like, these are the fans that really truly care about this team. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where it hurts the most, as the fan base, where you have these people that are struggling. Maybe that's just like they got $20 this week. They got $10 to go to the game and maybe get some water, but they're still going to go out there and support. And that's rough, when you get to that point. When these fans are not getting what they deserve. So on that point, Owen, we did get some other updates. Am I correct?
Yes. You know what, though? Before we do that, this is going to get heavy. So let's just kick in with some.
Diving in.
We need to relieve the tension. No, we need something to relieve the tension, Ramon, to chill us down a bit.
Okay. All right. I get what you're saying. So if you guys haven't yet, and I've been saying this for months now. You guys got to check out OG's brands. I feel like we all get a little tense here. You got to relax a little bit. So if you guys haven't yet, I encourage you to go to ogsbrands.com and check out their website and try out their amazing products. They actually got a brand new summer product, their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, and that flavor is Piña Colada. So if you guys haven't, go ahead and check it out. It's a perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend. And you guys can, again, check it out on their website, ogsbrands.com, and on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. Must be 21 years or older to purchase. I was going to go to that Maya event, but my car, one of the water hoses broke, so I couldn't even
Look
drive.
At these excuses. Look at these excuses.
I was trying. Owen, I know you didn't want to go. You were happy in Vegas, as you always are. So,
I'm a big Vegas fan. Yeah. No.
But I'm going to, if you haven't yet, make sure to check out ogsbrands.com and get yourself some amazing OGs. All right. We're all relaxed.
All right.
We're all chill.
Okay. We're chill. There. Now we're about to get not chill. Right. So the stadium Yeah. So we had some conversations about the stadium today. For those of you who don't know, obviously things have been a mess this year. And by those of you who don't know, I mean apparently nobody who's watching this probably, because everyone knows that it's been an utter mess this year. The preseason game where they did not have a license to sell alcohol, the first game of the season where it came really late, and then there was a lot of problems in terms of lines and concessions, people actually being able to get things without waiting for 30
No dollar beer
minutes.
night.
Well, dollar bill is a different thing, but I just feel as though everyone knows it's been a mess. Apparently, what that partly is down to is there is a brand new management company, and apparently it took a while by the sounds for them to really sit down and almost get on the same page with this new management company. It came up today. We were talking about it with Bobby. He said they're always looking for ways to kind of improve the fan experience on all of this. Look, we're kind of you've got to consider that it may not be fixable, this, because you've got people who are in ownership positions in this club going on social media and commenting on how the tribal government is kind of breaking its promises to them. Just to, well, I could name a couple of names. I'm sure you've all seen the comments online. And again, those are the things that came up at the press conference today, and it was kind of batted away a little bit. There was a talk of, well, there's a chance we do play here next year. Now, sources, I've been chatting with a lot of people, obviously, about this over the past few weeks, and by the sound of things, it looks as though the club has been exploring other options. So none of this came as a surprise to me that it wasn't a very, very strong, why, yes, of course we're going to stay in Wild Horse Pass going forward. It was vague. It was vague, and it was, well, yeah, we could well be here next year, but who knows? Look, they've invested a good amount of money into that stadium. So has the Gila River Indian community. So it's a mess if they move it in some ways, but I don't know. It just
and
doesn't
I
feel
think
good, does it?
Yeah, no, it's I think it's another another kind of pile on to what's been happening this year with the team. As far as the stadium. Now, like you said, Owen, we kind of had heard rumblings about this a few weeks prior. When the press conference was going on earlier today, there were some tweets that were sent out, and people were like, "Wait, hold up, what's going on with the stadium?" Because I don't think people even knew about this situation happening. So it's not good to hear this as well, that there's been issues. And if I can give my opinion, like, I feel like that relationship hasn't been the best between the Indian community and the rising management. So is this really a surprise, or like, what are you feeling in regards to this?
In terms of the, I don't know. It feels as though, look, they struggled with this in the past. They struggled with the last stadium, I think, at times in terms of the relationship with the tribal government there. It ended up with just more mess, more stuff being thrown around. People up there were definitely not very happy when Rising left. I just,
and you get all these news about the stadium for Rising when Indy just secured like $1 billion investment for a permanent stadium. So it doesn't look good with that either. So
no, it doesn't. I don't know. It just feels as though there are a lot of things at the moment with the club that really seem to be lacking direction. There seems to be just a kind of a point of looking at it where you go, okay, what's the next step? How do they grow? How do they take to the next step? And I don't think that people necessarily know what they're doing in that regard. I feel as though the club has kind of hit a certain level, and from there, it's not growing. There's no plan. I mean, what is the plan? What is the plan at the moment to get more people into that stadium? Seriously.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a fair question to ask, because when I'm talking to people, it's like that we do this show, and they're like, "Oh, Rising, what are they're going to go to the MLS, right?" Because in a lot of people's ideas that are not super fans of the club, that's the next logical step, right? But we're seeing all these other clubs in the USL making big investments into permanent structures and actually saying, "No, we're fine with staying in USL and maybe we're not able to get up there to that next level, but they're still going to make a permanent structure and build a fan base and have these fans, become or this team become part of the community. So it's rough, and like you're saying, like it's tough to answer those questions from people when you don't even know what's going on and you're covering the team. And so it just speaks to what's going on with the organization right now.
If we want to talk about direction and being perhaps out of touch, of course, there was other stuff that came up today. I mean, we can't ignore it. It is the talk of ultimately rising social media at the moment, and was actually literally just addressed while we've been on air by one of the club's part owners. Look, the club has not issued any kind of statement over Roe versus Wade. When I asked about it today, it was, pushed off as well. We want to encourage people to take action and go vote instead of just words, which is interesting given that they didn't put any of that out there until they were asked. So very much promoting action. And then, that comes amidst, of course, multiple other clubs in this league are all putting statements out. The club itself has a really big reputation for being kind of on the forefront of some of these social justice issues. It's almost like it learned from the mistakes of San Diego on what happened there and became a lot more active in terms of trying to cultivate that kind of an image. And since then, it's just, today, this past week, I know that Rappaport at the moment is on Twitter saying, don't, he's one of the owners, say, don't align me with this. Don't try and shame me over this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what's the club's direction right now? What are they doing? Because they're just out of touch with the fans, utterly out of touch. And if you're going to be putting out there football that's bad, you're going to be putting out overpriced concessions, and you're going to alienate the fans in the South End. What on earth have you got to sell this club on? Be perfectly frank right now. Seriously, what have you got to sell? FC Arizona Mark II, if you get rid of anything of actual, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's the fans right now that are actually differentiating a lot of things, and it just feels as though there is no real conscious effort. Almost as though they're just considered to be some kind of marginal, small little group sitting there in the South End, or some, mouthy minority on Twitter that you can just ignore. The fact of the matter is that's going to come and bite you on the ass if you just keep this up.
Yeah. No, it's given what happened with the decision last week, like a lot of professional clubs did give their opinion and they were standing with their team and their organization and their community. And that's what's kind of confusing about this, because even before I started covering Rising, I could see how vocal the fan base was, and I could see as well that the team itself was behind them. And yeah, there were issues here and there, but at the end of the day, you could always count for the team to at least kind of stand up for them in some sort of manner. And with what happened this weekend and the lack of a statement, I could definitely see why the fan base would be annoyed and frustrated with this, given how the season's going. And it's rough. It's rough. I mean, I don't want to give my full opinion on this, but don't.
No, come on. Let it all out. Let it all out, Ramon. Come on.
Look,
fans expect it. Let's let it all out. Come on.
The producer's gonna get really upset. I'm not gonna go too crazy, but I feel a statement would have been. It wouldn't have harmed anybody. Even the vaguest of statements would have kind of cooled down some of the people out on social media and the fans as well. So that's all as far as I'm gonna go. But if they would have done something in that manner, I think they would have looked a little bit better.
I just feel as though at the moment when we're focusing on this, you've just got an issue at the moment whereby the club's leadership at a front office level is just out of touch with what a large portion of its fan base wants and expects its club to be, which is not just another business entity, right? This club isn't just another business entity, or that's not how they position themselves. So you can't act like it.
Yeah.
And football is a very political sphere in general, quite noticeably in this country, for the simple reason that Well, no, and I've had this discussion with people in the past, people who are actual academics in this kind of sphere, and they say, well, in a lot of other countries, you get, yes, football's political in a lot of places, but it's kind of across the spectrum in a lot of countries because football is the sport, whereas here it takes a certain slant just because that's the nature of the kind of support that a sport that's almost rebelling against the establishment gets here. And then they're just completely ignorant to that. The club leadership seems to think as though it's some big event, which it isn't, that needs to be actually engaged with its fan base in order to continue to grow. Instead, it's not growing, it's stagnating. As we're seeing by attendance figures, they don't really continue to grow, do they? People are getting tired, and the quality of football isn't helping because it's not good right now. And then from an ownership perspective, you're like, where are they? Are they really paying attention to this? Because I don't mean to be rude. How have you got any real business sense if you're just going to let them alienate the people that are realistically your prime customers in there?
Ones that show up every week. Yeah.
And not only are your prime customers, they're your prime marketing material as well at the moment. So, just go for it. Keep going for it. I'm sure this will work fantastically for them if they carry on with this one. And you know what? If any owners are watching, listening, and want to hop on at some point, give us a shout. Do it. Come on, we'll have you on here, and
you don't want to explain this. No, and then that's what I was thinking about today. I was driving, I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, I feel like the league has passed this team by. You could see it, as far as how situations are handled, such as this, and how forward they are, and obviously the product on the field. So it's rough. Like, you got to accept it and you got to make changes. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to happen. It's that the fall is very, very steep, going from one of the premier teams to the bottom of the Western Conference. So I definitely agree with that, Owen.
Yeah, but the league can put a statement out, but we have to wait until we can specifically ask Bobby Dulle to his face when he can tell us that they care about action, which means vote. Apparently, going to vote, and they're gonna encourage action, which they weren't encouraging until we asked. But hey, again, what do we know? What do we know? What do we know?
If you want to see the whole video, you can go to Owen's account. It's right there on the screen. OJ Evans 18. You can see the whole video of Bobby Dulle responding to that question that Owen asked. Owen, let's take a quick break and talk about our friends at DraftKings. We do have some I feel like we have games. There's a game right now, right? Isn't there a game going on?
Oh, is it? You're really catching me out here. God, give me a second.
But yeah,
is there a game? There was one earlier.
There you go. There you go. See, that's how I knew.
Hartford beat Colorado Springs 2-0.
No way. Look at that.
That is a big result. That's a big result.
Colorado just played, though. It's, they're probably rotating. But yeah, no, it's a big result regardless. But if you guys haven't yet, make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, especially this weekend, because there's going to be a huge fight. And we're talking about UFC 276. So there's tons of ways for you to come out on top when you're betting with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. And if you guys download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any UFC 276 fighter to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's code PHNX this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
When you said there was going to be a big fight, I thought you were going to be talking about the fact that two low in the league sides were about to have a scrap on Saturday, which is Phoenix Rising in Orange County. But the bottom of the barrel.
The huge, it's the wooden spoon. That's actually, I just learned about that. The
wooden spoon, you just learned. Yeah, it's a thing that you give to the person who's in last place, finish in last place. They get the wooden spoon. Yeah,
exactly. So my Sunday league team, we weren't that great this season, so we had a game on Sunday, and then we won. So I don't know why we got the wooden spoon, but yeah, we got the wooden spoon. So,
but there are of course some odds, or there should be some odds. So let's just grab those quickly and take a look. What do we have here? So at the moment, San Antonio and Tulsa are in a rain delay, as is commented, so I've got nothing on that. If you want to know the odds at the moment so San Diego are on -145, Orange County +260, or plus 330 for a draw. So if you want to go and bet on one of the two outcomes there that would see Rising battling to not be second to last on Saturday, then those last two ones are your options there.
Put your money in San Diego.
Tell you what, El Paso are only a slim favorite over RGV.
No, you got to take El Paso there.
Yeah, I mean, but only slim, plus 140, RGV at plus 155. And Charleston Battery, a strong favorite over Atlanta United 2. It's minus 180 for Charleston, plus 340 for Atlanta United 2. So, yeah, go and take a look at them. As mentioned, of course, Tulsa in a rain delay at the moment. As mentioned in the chat here, and kind of linking back to our last topic, Tulsa, of course, Samdoa, whatever you think of the guy, former marketing VP here. He's now their club president over in Tulsa. He's, of course, got the current scheme by the looks involving hot dogs. They're going to donate some money to abortion funds. So slightly different to bumbling through an answer about voting. But hey, we just jumped back to the last conversation topic quickly there.
Hey, talk your talk, Owen.
We'll move on. We'll move on. It's fine.
Looking to the last weekend, were there any results from this past weekend that kind of caught your eye, Owen?
Ooh, yeah. So Birmingham Legion going away to New Mexico United, picking up a 2-0 win. That's big. Birmingham, of course, have been trying to get their season back on track after a very slow start. And New Mexico have been kind of flying. Is this the turnaround point for New Mexico? They've started well in the past and fallen off. Could we be about to see the same thing happen again? Some other results that were big: Memphis winning 2-0 over Detroit, kind of really just cementing that point that Memphis are a big boy this year. They are someone to contend with in the Eastern Conference, and that is a big concern for Rising, that having to go out there. Any others in here? Let's have a look. Big game, of course.
There were a lot of goals this weekend. So
there were. And speaking of a game with a lot of goals, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Is it the El Paso one or which one? The San
No,
Diego
I was going to
one?
go with Pittsburgh against Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Oh, the Rowdies. Yep.
That game finishing 5-2 in favor of Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh starting on they're on a bit of a fall themselves. They've been really quite sluggish, haven't they? So
yeah.
That's a bit of a struggle for them. And then beyond that, I mean, San Diego just utterly destroyed Indy 11.
Yeah.
5-0.
Yeah. That doesn't make me feel any better about what's going to happen in the future of Rising speaking to the playoffs. So, yeah, it's not good to see those results. But, hopefully they're able to turn around. We'll see. I was able to get some numbers here. Let's see. Hartford versus Louisville on as far as USL is concerned, viewing numbers, they did 142,000 on ESPN. So second week in a row where, the ESPN was able to put some USL game on their network, and they're getting viewers. They beat one of the Sunday games for MLS. So that means that the fan base is there and they're tuning in.
Hey, that was Hartford. I mean, we're not talking of the big boys of USL here. We're talking about Hartford Athletic.
Yeah, 142,000. Not bad at all. So,
not bad at all. Not bad at all. It's good news for the league to see them getting this kind of exposure on the bigger networks. Really helpful when TV deals are coming up soon.
It's coming up, right?
So it's big stuff for the club, for the league, and I'm sure we might find out a little bit more about where those TV deals are going. Of course, in a few weeks' time, the media meetings taking place. That'll be in Louisville, same week as Rising are there, and you might want to preemptively drop us a follow on Twitter at PHNX__Rising, where it's double the underscores, double the coverage from the media meetings, apparently, because they're in the same places where Rising are playing. So
check them out. All right, Owen, let's move on to the next topic. And this has a little bit to do with you because we had a big signing over the weekend with Gareth Bale signing with LAFC. 32 years old, Gareth Bale, coming from Real Madrid. Saturday morning, I texted you. I was like, what the heck is going on here? I did not expect the signing whatsoever.
Just the commercial opportunities, isn't it? And Vincent Tan, who's Cardiff's owner, went on radio in the UK and was kind of talking about it, that there was a time when Bale was really interested in coming back to Cardiff to play for his hometown club. and it wasn't about money
Oh,
or
come
any of
on,
that,
Pat.
but just the commercial interests that came out of retirement league. Yeah,
But is this
I
the right
can't
time to
argue.
do it? Less than 150 days before the World Cup, that your country
It's
hasn't attended in almost half a century.
an interesting one because the travel kills you over here. It's
Mhm.
exhausting. Players mention it all the time. I've had a few East Coast trips now. I can confirm it's tiring. Okay.
Yeah.
This stuff isn't easy. It is a slog, and so you do wonder then, looking ahead to the World Cup come November, whether it's the best idea. But clearly, the decision he's made there is that, look, there are better commercial interests here, and it's
Yeah.
not just, of course, about the salary the club are paying you. Is
Mhm.
all other kinds of commercial interests, ad deals, and everything like that you can get here. And
Yeah,
that's
and I
what
think that's the kind of like the way LAFC sold it, because he's not the DP player for them. If I'm reading here, 12-month contract using targeted allocation money with options through 2024. So yeah, he's not getting the huge bucks as far as like the soccer contract is concerned. But that's the allure of LA. You could say, you can see, and you see it in different sports, NBA, all
yeah.
that good stuff that kind of makes up commercially, like you're saying, on the other end. So personally, I mean, I like it. I like the move. I think LAFC is just becoming better and better. They beat the Red Bulls this weekend as well, and they still have that DP spot. So it's gonna be interesting to see who they sign. And like Bobby just said, Chiellini is coming from Italy as well. So building a good squad there.
Yeah, indeed. And hopefully he doesn't get sent out to try and get back up to fitness at a certain Nevada-based club.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Mm,
man, imagine that. Coming to Phoenix.
no. God, no, no.
July 8th, I believe, is the
Oh.
first time they can be available, both Chiellini and Bale, and that would be against LA Galaxy in El Trafico. So look out for that if you want to check out Gareth Bale. All right, Owen, we've had a long show today, impactful one, I'd say. But before we wrap it up, we do want to tell our viewers here that if you are available tomorrow, you guys can join the rest of the PHNX crew over there at Four Peaks Brewing Company. Producer, I don't know if we have a graphic for it, but if you guys are able to, you guys can join. We got the Suns show, you got the D-back show, the Cardinals show. They're all going to be doing their show lives from the Four Peaks Brewing Company over there in Tempe. So if you guys want to go over there and join them, we're not there because we don't tape on Wednesdays, but maybe Owen will grab a brew. Maybe
I'll show up for the last show and just.
There you go. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if you go. I'll go. I'm pretty close to it, so we'll see if I can make it.
After work, the 5 o'clock kind of.
For sure. You guys can find out more details if you go to the PHNX _sports Twitter account and check it out there. We got all the details there for you. And then also, you guys might have noticed I got a little scarf over here. That's the scarf I'm giving out once we reach 650 followers. So if you guys haven't gotten your hands on it, by going to phnxlocker.com to purchase your very own scarf. You guys can follow us on Twitter, and at 650 followers, once we get there, I'm going to go ahead and give it out in a drawing over there. So just let it.
We're growing. We're growing. It's still growing.
618 right now, the last time I checked. So yeah, get us up there. Give out that scarf for sure for you guys. Owen, any last words? Final thoughts. Big sad.
I don't know this. I feel like we went through a lot today, didn't we? We really went through a lot today, and by the looks of things, so did the chat. So
no, I appreciate the chat. This is kind of some tough topics to talk about, and I know we all care about this team and we want it to be successful, and yeah, it's just it's tough once in a while to talk about it.
It's tough, yeah, just to see what feels like stagnation, what feels like a degree of out of touch. It just, yeah, you know what? Let's put this behind us. Look ahead towards the next show, and hopefully we've got some more football specific things to focus on. Talk a little bit about the team that possibly could drop rising into second from bottom.
Let's not say that. All right, Pat. Yeah, maybe
I was trying to be positive for 1 second there, and no, I
went the other way.
No.
Yeah, maybe I'll replace the FIFA one with the Deadwin picture in memory. And Bonnie, same time, same place on Thursday night. So thank you so much for joining us, Pat, Durden, Bobby, everybody here. Thank you so much for the super chats as well. PHX Rising Nation, thank you so much for making this show so much fun. We're here for you guys. And again, if you haven't followed us, make sure to go to PHNX __rising.
double the underscores, double the shoutiness on Twitter today by the looks of things.
All right, y'all. That is it for us. We will be back on Thursday. Until then, be well, be safe, and see you later.